Have you ever picked up an everyday object? Maybe a woven mat, a simple clay pot, perhaps a cap to shield you from the sun, and really truly wondered what centuries of stories, what profound wisdom might be embedded in its very design?
A really profound thought, isn't it?
Yeah. Imagine, if you will, a country like the Philippines, made up of over 7,000 islands, each one potentially a cradle for unique traditions, breathtaking artistry, and just astonishing ingenuity.
That the items we often just take for granted are, in fact, living repositories of history, culture, and identity.
Yeah.
They aren't just, utilitarian. They're narratives woven into form.
They absolutely are. And that's precisely what we're diving into today on the Deep Dive. So welcome, everyone, to a custom-tailored exploration into the vibrant world of Philippine crafts and their intangible cultural heritage. We've pulled together a real treasure trove from your shared sources, articles, research notes that reveal some truly surprising insights into the ingenuity, the artistry, and frankly, the sheer resilience of the Filipino people.
Yeah, and our mission for this deep dive is really to unpack the intricate processes, the deep societal contexts, and the profound symbolism that's embedded in these crafts.
Right.
We're going to explore how these traditions have not just endured, but actually evolved over millennia. We'll look at what complex challenges they face in our, rapidly changing contemporary world, and perhaps most importantly, why they remain so incredibly vital to cultural identity.
And as we unravel these stories, I think you're going to uncover some truly surprising connections. Get ready for those aha moments that reveal the deep and often quite unexpected links between people, their environment, and their extraordinary art.
Definitely.
So let's maybe set the stage first. Because while these crafts are incredibly rich, they're also, maybe surprisingly, quite vulnerable. When we talk about cultural legacy in craft, we're not just talking about the physical object itself, are we?
No, not at all.
There are these incredibly abstract yet crucial elements at play. Things like the process of making it, the societal context it comes from, maybe the rank of the maker, or the symbolism of the object itself.
Right, the innovation over time, how it evolves.
Exactly, and those are the things that are vulnerable.
That's a critical distinction.
Yeah.
These aren't static museum pieces existing in a vacuum, They are dynamic living traditions. And precisely these abstract concepts, the how and the why behind the what, are deeply vulnerable to the relentless demands of contemporary life.
How so?
Well, think about it. The pressures of global and even local market demands can subtly, or sometimes quite overtly, push traditional practices towards commercialization. That pursuit of, say, widespread appeal can easily compromise the deep authenticity of a craft.
It feels like a paradox, doesn't it? We want these traditions to survive, maybe help them find an economic footing. But in doing that, we might inadvertently push them away from their traditional roots.
That's the tightrope. And mass production is another huge factor. The drive for quantity, for efficiency, often compromises the unique characteristics, the very soul of handcrafted items.
Yeah.
That personal touch, those subtle imperfections that actually tell a story, those often get lost.
Yeah, smoothed out.
Exactly. And then there's the introduction of new materials. Now, innovation can be positive, of course, but if modern materials dilute or completely replace traditional ones, the very essence of the craft can be altered or, lost entirely.
Can you give an example?
Imagine a traditional weaving designed for a specific climate, using locally sourced ancient fibers that people understood intimately. Suddenly it's being made with synthetic materials because they're cheaper or easier to get.
Yeah.
The functionality might seem similar on the surface, but the spirit, that intrinsic connection to the environment and the generations of knowledge about those specific materials, that's profoundly diminished.
And what about limitations on functionality? Like, if a craft traditionally served a deep ceremonial purpose, but now the market demands it be, just a purely decorative item or a standardized tool, does that stifle its artistic expression?
It absolutely can. When rigid demands for functionality, often driven by external consumer expectations or modern standards, are imposed, it can indeed stifle artistic expression. Or it might alter traditional forms that served entirely different, often more nuanced or symbolic purposes in their original context.
So all these factors, they readily transform traditional craft.
They do. And with it, the attendant craftsmanship itself. This can lead directly to a significant loss of specific skills, those very hand techniques passed down through generations, and critical traditional knowledge. That patience required for intricate hand techniques, the deep intuitive knowledge of how to harvest and prepare local materials, or understanding the specific ceremonial context, these are the very aspects of craftsmanship that are most at risk.
It truly is a delicate balance, trying to preserve something while also allowing it to adapt for survival. A delicate dance, really.
It is, and that dance is a thread woven throughout this whole story.
Okay, so to really understand these traditions, we need to go back, way back, to the ancient roots of Filipino ingenuity. And that story, it quite literally begins with the earth itself, with clay.
Indeed. Terracotta pottery in the Philippines is incredibly ancient. It emerged basically at the very same time, or coeval, with the domestication of plants and animals.
Wow.
We have compelling evidence dating back to around 5800 BC, discovered in both the northern and southern Philippines. This tells us that pottery wasn't just, an artistic thing. It was fundamental to early agricultural societies, essential for storage, cooking, maybe even early ritual. It marks a huge leap in human development.
5800 BC, that's just mind-boggling to think about. And the earliest pieces, our sources say, were entirely shaped and molded by hand.
Completely. No fancy tools yet, just the sheer skill of human hands.
What kinds of forms were they making back then? Anything recognizable?
Well, the forms were remarkably diverse, even in those early days. We see pieces like an egg-shaped small stem cup, a wide-mouthed pot with a footstand, and this unique half-roofing over the mouth, which is a really specific and intriguing detail.
I wonder what that was for.
Exactly. There's also evidence of a presentation dish on a pedestal, along with other configurations. This variety strongly suggests a broad range of functionality right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Not just utilitarian, but likely ceremonial or maybe status-related as well.
And then something kind of counterintuitive happened, right? Pottery really proliferated and flowered when metals began to appear. That led to this era being known as the golden age of pottery in the Philippines. That connection seems odd at first glance.
It does seem odd, but it's a classic example of, cross-pollination of technologies and cultural development. The introduction of metals likely led to new, maybe more precise, tools for potters. Or perhaps new social structures and expanded trade networks encouraged greater specialization and artistic expression in pottery. So during this period, we see an almost innumerable variety of forms and surface ornamentations. Techniques like incising, imprinting, excising, and applique were widely mastered and applied. This explosion of creativity certainly justifies calling it a golden age. It wasn't just about making pots anymore. It was about pushing the boundaries of what you could do with clay.
I just marvel at how they achieved such diverse and sophisticated techniques so early on without what we'd consider modern tools. And speaking of tools, our sources highlight a really important point. The potter's wheel wasn't used in the Philippines until much later, until contact with the great traditions of Asia.
Correct. A major point.
So how were these incredibly detailed pieces shaped and decorated purely by hand?
Well, the earliest method was pure hand molding. The work was placed on something flat, a piece of matting, maybe a hardened piece of pottery, or any flat material that could be rotated slowly by hand as needed. This allowed for very deliberate shaping, ensuring precision. Later, they innovated with paddles and anvils. These were absolutely crucial for thinning the vessel walls to achieve lighter, more elegant forms.
Right.
The paddles varied. Some were plain, others grooved with parallel lines or even grid-like patterns. Sometimes a paddle was even bound with cord to leave distinctive patterns on the pot surface, a really clever use of texture. The anvil, held inside the vessel, was typically a rounded stone or the operculum of a large univalve shell, that hard lids some snails have.
Oh, right. Okay.
That provided the counterpressure for the paddle. This simple yet incredibly effective duo allowed for really refined forms.
That's incredibly resourceful, just using whatever was at hand in such an ingenious way. And what about surface finishes and decorations? Did they just leave the natural clay or add color and patterns?
Initially, pottery could be fired with no alterations, just that natural earthy finish. But soon, they developed what are called slips, basically a solution of very fine clay. It was applied to the surface, or the pot was dipped into it, forming a thin film, sometimes of a different color. This added an aesthetic layer and could even help seal the surface a bit.
Like a glaze, almost.
Sort of, but simpler, yeah. For more decoration, simple incised lines were made using a stylus, or more complex designs using a comb-like instrument, creating intricate repeating patterns. Common patterns included lines, zigzags, circles, squares, dots, running scrolls, all sorts of things.
And they did this at a specific point in the drying process.
Yes. Critically, these were executed when the vessel was in the leather-hard stage of drying. That's the sweet spot where the clay is firm enough to hold its shape but still soft enough to carve before it gets too brittle.
Oh.
Appliques were also popular, adding three-dimensional bits like little faces, ropes, or other shapes to beautify the pots. And functionally, they also added practical things like handles, spouts, ears, foot rings, foot stands.
And the firing process itself sounds quite ingenious, especially without modern kilns. How did they manage to achieve different colors in the final pottery without high-tech equipment?
It really was a feat of ancient material science. First, the wares were carefully air-dried in the shade, making sure there were no drafts, to allow for even drying and prevent cracking.
Okay, that makes sense.
Once completely dry, they were piled onto a platform made of readily available firing materials, wood, palm fronds, even cow dung or rice husks. The entire pile was then covered with the same materials and fired right there in the open. Crucially, as you said, no kilns were used until modern times.
Right. So how did they control the color?
That was about controlling the atmosphere after firing during cooling. If they allowed oxygen to circulate freely, letting the fire burn openly, they got red pottery that's an oxidizing atmosphere.
Oh.
But if they restricted the oxygen, maybe by smothering the embers, creating a reducing atmosphere, the result was blackened pottery.
Wow.
This shows a really sophisticated understanding of chemistry and heat management, achieved purely through centuries of observation and experimentation. Long before the scientific principles were formally written down, it's pure intuitive engineering.
That's a profound testament to ancient ingenuity and resourcefulness. Okay, so from Earth, let's now move to water. Because in an archipelago like the Philippines, boat building wasn't just a craft, right? It was an essential way of life, an absolute imperative for existence and connection.
Absolutely. When you consider a country with, roughly 36,000 kilometers of coastline and over 7,000 islands, plus many interiors were mountainous and hard to cross. It's no wonder water was the easiest and most efficient way to travel from ancient times. Waterways were literally the much-used highways linking communities.
And what's truly fascinating here is how the country's geography, its location on the western edge of Asia facing the Pacific, profoundly shaped not just maritime culture, but even fundamental social structures. Our sources point out that some of the very first socio-political organizations were called barangay, which incredibly is also the name for a type of boat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the very word for a community or village is rooted in boat culture. That's a powerful cultural anchor, isn't it?
It's a truly remarkable connection. It highlights just how deeply integrated maritime life was into their societal fabric. The organizational structure of these land-settled barangays was directly patterned after the strictures you'd find on a ship crew.
How so?
It meant that everyone on board, or by extension in the community, had to work together efficiently as one unit, performing their tasks according to the orders of the nakoda, the ship captain, or the community leader.
Right.
Such a structure implies a deep understanding of collective effort, discipline, unity. Things absolutely essential for survival and prosperity in a maritime environment, whether you're navigating the seas or managing a village. It speaks to a culture really built on collaboration.
So what kind of watercraft were they building? I imagine a whole spectrum, from very simple to truly grand.
Yes, an incredibly wide variety, each tailored to specific needs and environments. The simplest were rafts, basically floating platforms of joined bamboo poles, used mostly on rivers and near shores, propelled by punting with a long staff. Quick to make, very versatile for local travel.
Okay.
Then you had dugouts, known as boloto. Small boats shaped from a single log, good for one or two people, typically propelled by paddles for more control in calmer waters.
But then it gets really interesting with the larger vessels, the ones that could handle open seas.
Indeed. They also built large vessels with double outriggers called paro, prahu, or blanghe. These were noted for being streamlined and lightweight, so lightweight, in fact, that they could even be carried off onto land.
Carried onto land. A large vessel.
An incredible feat of engineering for their size, yes. A fascinating detail from the sources mentions how these boats would sail like birds, implying a grace, speed, and efficiency that was apparently contrasted favorably with European ships of the time. It suggests their design was superior for local conditions. This versatility, navigating both water and land, speaks volumes about their sophisticated adaptation and engineering skill for the era. They weren't just functional, they were elegant.
It paints such a vivid picture, doesn't it? These graceful boats gliding on the water. Okay, so from these foundational crafts of earth and sea, we see how ingenuity blossomed. Now let's explore how communities further refine their craft. adapting to specific environments and unique needs, leading to some truly specialized creations.
And a perfect example of this kind of specialization comes from the Ivatan and Itbayat people. They live in the Batanes Island group, way up in the northern Philippines. Their unique environment, strong winds, rough seas led to very specific and unique boat-building traditions that really stand apart, even within the diverse archipelago.
So the term tataya is generally used for these boats, but specifically it refers to fishing boats manned by 3 or fewer people, powered by oars or sails. What makes them so distinct from other Filipino boats?
What's truly fascinating is that Ivatan and Itbayat boats are the only traditional boats in the entire Philippines that are not paddled but rowed.
Rowed, not paddled, that's a huge difference.
It is. It's not just a small detail. It highlights a profound adaptation to their rougher seas and strong currents. Rowing offers significantly more power and control than paddling, making the boats more resilient in those challenging waters. Traditionally, these boats were meticulously categorized by their specific function, showing a deep practical understanding of their maritime needs.
Right, like fishing around the islands, which makes perfect sense. Our sources list examples like the Viung, Pechotanian, Pechanavagan, Suhuan, and Paninaman. The names themselves almost tell a story of Ivatan life, so connected to the sea.
Absolutely. Then there were boats designed specifically for inter-island traffic within the Batanes province, essential for connecting those isolated communities. Examples are the Chinaram, Falua, Chinakaran, and even the Motor.
Motor, so they adapted later on.
Exactly. That name indicates a later integration of new technology, but likely still within a traditional boat form, showing their adaptability over time. And finally, for vital trade routes outside the Batanes group, they had the larger Avang. This remarkable range of specialized boat types really reflects the unique challenges of island life in an exposed environment. It demanded very specific designs for very specific purposes. It's survival instinct translated into craft.
And it's not just their boats. Their houses, the iconic Ivatan houses, are equally impressive adaptations to that notoriously harsh climate. We're still talking about the Ivatan people in Batan's northernmost Philippines.
Indeed. The multi-house ownership tradition is quite unique and speaks to a very holistic way of life. Each household traditionally owns 2 to 3 separate structures.
2 or 3 houses per family.
Per household, yeah. There's the screen house, which is the main living room, bedroom, and also has the raku, or stavahe. That's an area specifically for keeping household stuff that shouldn't get covered in soot from cooking fires.
Okay.
Then there's the kusina, a completely separate structure. That's the kitchen, cooking, and dining area, and storage for both fresh and preserved food.
So already that's 2 separate buildings for core functions, and then a third, the rahong, which isn't even for people.
That's right. The rahong is specifically for farm and fishing gear storing tools, equipment, and it also includes a vinahayan, which is a chicken nest. This careful division of living space and functional space speaks to a highly organized and integrated view of livelihood. The home supports all aspects of daily life and work in a very practical sense.
And there are different types of these houses too, right? Not just one style.
Exactly. Our sources note there are many types that conform to certain periods in time, different ethnic groupings, and functionality, showing centuries of evolution and adaptation.
Can you give us a few examples of these specific Ivatan house types and what makes them unique?
Certainly. There's the chivuvuhong. Its walls are made entirely of thatch kogan grass, enclosing the floor space, with a hearth at one end, a very elemental, adaptable design. Then you have the senadumperan. This one has formidable walls and sides made of stone and mortar. Its narrower side walls extend upward, forming a strong triangle, and the kogan roof is leveled precisely to that. This type also often features a low basement, used for storage, or as shelter for animals during bad weather.
That stone construction sounds incredibly sturdy, especially thinking about the typhoons they get up there. It's a direct architectural response to the environment.
Exactly, a testament to climate adaptation and resilience. Then there's the mehura. It resembles the chivuvuhang, but with a crucial enhancement. It has a low wall made of stone, chalk kogan grass, and mud or lime and sand built between the ground and the kogan sides. This gives an extra layer of protection against wind and driving rain.
Ah, like a foundation wall.
Sort of, yeah. And finally, the metuab, or nichuavan. On this structure, all 4 sides of the roof taper upward to the top. This forms a trapezoidal shape on the 2 longer sides and triangular on the other 2 shorter sides, creating a very strong, aerodynamic, wind-resistant form. These architectural styles aren't just aesthetically distinct, they are direct, ingenious responses to the environmental challenges of Batan's. They show how craft and building are intrinsically tied to survival, resourcefulness, and a deep understanding of their surroundings.
From the sturdy practicality of Ivatan houses, let's journey south now to Mindanao and explore the truly regal Maranao Sultan's house, the torogan. This sounds like something grand representing immense power and cultural pride.
It really is an architectural marvel. The torogan is described as the most imposing and regal example of vernacular Philippine architecture. Its exteriors are famously, ornately decorated with the classic ochre design motifs.
Ochre, those are the distinctive curvilinear flowing patterns, right? Often inspired by plants or mythical creatures.
Exactly. They're a hallmark of Maranao art and identity. What's fascinating is that apparently 4 specific torogans in the past served as foundational models for artisans. This made the ochre motifs very conventionalized in a way, and thus helped create the distinct Maranao identity itself through this shared artistic expression.
So it's not just a house, it's like a living symbol of cultural identity in architectural form. And it's built for a very specific person, right? A sultan or a datu, the highest rank in the community.
Correct. It's not merely a dwelling, it's an ancestral communal house where the leader resides with his closest relatives, but its function extends far beyond just living space. It's a multi-purpose building. It functions as a grand meeting hall for conferences called by the Sultan or Datu, where important community decisions are made.
Okay.
It also serves as a vibrant social hall for major community gatherings, weddings, coronations of new datus or bialabis, female royalty, even solemn clan gatherings when a member of the royal clan passes away. It's also a place for settling family disputes, reinforcing its role as a center of justice and community cohesion.
Wow, so it's the heart of the community, really.
In many ways, yes. All these functions underscore that the torogan directly symbolizes the immense rank and powerful leadership of the occupant. It is architecture as a very clear statement of status and authority.
It truly is a living representation of social hierarchy and profound cultural values. What are its most distinctive architectural features that really make it stand out visually?
A torogan is characterized by its stiff-roofed structure, and is famously decorated with 7 or more panelongs at the front and sides.
Panelongs. What are those exactly?
They are these distinctive, elaborately carved beam ends or prows that project out from the house. And crucially, they are not found on ordinary houses because they specifically symbolize power, rank, and leadership. Their presence immediately signifies royalty.
Ah, okay, a visual marker.
Precisely. The panelongs themselves are intricately carved with a combination of floral and naga, dragon or serpent designs, which are central to Manao aesthetics and symbolism, representing power and protection. Interestingly, panelongs aren't just on the main house. They're also used to decorate lamans. Those are special rooms, sometimes built atop the torogan, often for a daughter or maiden of the household, and they even adorn mosques, showing how pervasive this design motif is across both sacred and secular structures.
The majesty of the torogan is truly something, even just hearing about it. It's clear how architecture can embody an entire civilization's values. Now, let's move from these grand shelters to something more personal, items worn and used in daily life, embodying both utility and, again, deep cultural meaning. Starting with what our sources call the most ubiquitous of Philippine hats, the salakot.
The salakot is indeed everywhere. It's that wide-brimmed conical casque or hat that you see not just throughout the Philippines, but also remarkably across many parts of East and Southeast Asia. China, Japan, Korea, Indonesia, Vietnam. It's a truly pan-Asian form, which suggests ancient cross-cultural connections.
And it has deep historical roots here, too. Pigafetta, Magellan's chronicler, even mentioned seeing a queen who wore a large hat of palm leaves way back in 1521. So it's been around for centuries, maybe millennia.
Absolutely. The salakot came in various shapes, some helmet-shaped, some pointed, others rounded like a mushroom. But they were always meticulously well-formed, held their shape well, and were kept securely in place with an inner headband called a bait and a chin strap. This attention to a secure fit really speaks to their practicality for all sorts of activities, from farming to fishing.
What's truly fascinating to me is its evolution as a status symbol. It started as something used for centuries by farmers, fishermen, common folk, a purely practical item for protection from sun and rain. But then, during the Spanish colonial period, especially in the 19th century, it transformed quite dramatically.
That's where it gets really interesting, because it reflects changing social dynamics under colonial influence. Wealthy and powerful Filipinos began wearing the salakot not just for function, but as unmistakable status symbols.
So not just any salakot.
Oh no, these weren't ordinary hats. They are meticulously made of the finest and rarest materials available, the finest plant fibers, polished carabao horn, even iridescent turtle shell. And to truly elevate them, they were lavishly decorated with precious silver, often melted down from actual silver coins. This remarkable shift from utilitarian necessity to opulent display highlights how even common objects can be imbued with profound social meaning and hierarchy.
And I imagine there were rich regional variations too, given the diversity of the islands, each community using locally available materials in their own way.
There were, and still are, significant regional variations in materials and construction, showcasing incredible adaptability and local ingenuity. In Luzon, particularly among the Tagalog people, some of the finest specimens were crafted from fine bamboo, maybe with a pointed tip but a shallow pitch, and their rims intricately woven with rattan for strength and decoration. Another Tagalog style featured a cone-shaped crown and a gentle brim, made entirely of bamboo and rattan, really emphasizing the versatility of those materials.
Okay, what about other regions?
Further north, the Ilocano people utilized anahaw palm leaves and nipa palm leaflets, pressing them between web-like weaves of bamboo and rattan, demonstrating ingenious resourcefulness with local flora.
And beyond Luzon, how did the Salakot manifest in other parts of the country?
Well, for the Taboli people in the south, who maintain their traditional dress with great pride, their version, the salong, is uniquely gender-specific. Men wear a conical but low-pitched bamboo salong naf, usually decorated with simple geometric designs in black and white, and lined with woven rattan for comfort.
And the women?
Women wear the wide-brimmed salong kinibang. This is a more elaborate construction, made from bamboo strips and cotton cloth, used as an overlay, with a lining that hangs down the side and back, providing additional shade and ornamentation. It's quite distinct. The Visayans, down in the central Philippines, call their salakot a sarok, which is clearly a cognate term, indicating a shared origin, but with their own regional adaptations.
And then in the southern Philippines?
In the southern Philippines, the Maguindanao people had the tapasan, which was typically made from twilled soft strips of bamboo, decorated with dark nido vine or smoked bamboo for aesthetic contrast. The Samal people's version was beautifully plated rattan. So you see this incredible diversity based on available materials and local style.
It's incredible how one single type of item, a hat, can have such rich and diverse regional expressions. Each one tells a story of local materials, climate, cultural identity. And this tradition is very much alive, isn't it? It's not just something historical.
It is, very much so. Teofilo Garcia from Abra Province is a prime example of this living heritage. In 2012, he was awarded the Gawad sa Manlilikha ng Bayan, the National Living Treasures Award, for his truly unique vocation, forming gourds, upo, into elegant casks or helmets.
From gourds? Wow.
Yes, this recognition highlights the immense importance of preserving these living traditions and honoring the master craftsmen who not only continue them but innovate within their ancestral frameworks.
From headwear, let's turn our attention to other everyday necessities that showcase equally remarkable craftsmanship. Baskets and brooms. These often go unnoticed, but they embody incredible local ingenuity. Let's start with the Uvuk basket from Itbayat, Batanes back up north again.
The Uvuk is a fascinating example of functional design meticulously tailored to its environment and the needs of its users. It's a woven cone-shaped basket primarily used by women in Itbayat, Batanes, specifically designed for carrying harvests. Its distinctive inverted cone shape means it actually cannot stand upright by itself.
Can't stand up, so that hints at its unique carrying method.
Exactly. It's carried at the back with a strap sling that goes over the head called an apid. This sturdy, wide-mouthed ovaloid basket is made by a single weaver from didit or nido strips, intricately woven over a robust framework of tiblas vine and bamboo. The apid strap itself is made of braided bark strips. And here's the truly clever part. It's sometimes slung directly on the forehead.
On the forehead? Why?
To serve as a counterweight while striding the incredibly rocky and hilly terrain of Itbayat. This demonstrates an incredible, intuitive understanding of ergonomics, biomechanics, and local geography. It allows them to carry heavy loads with remarkable balance and efficiency up and down those hills. It's practical genius embodied in a basket.
That's brilliant. A simple yet ingenious design that perfectly solves a profound practical problem. And speaking of everyday items that often go unnoticed but embody incredible local ingenuity, let's talk about something as seemingly simple as a broom, the talagado.
The talagado, a type of broom used countrywide, is another testament to resourcefulness. It's skillfully woven from bamboo, uwe, which is rattan, and specific wild reeds carefully gathered from nearby mountains and fields.
Is there a specific time for gathering?
Yes, the gathering of these specific materials is typically undertaken by men, often accompanied by male children, and it occurs during the months of April to July, highlighting a seasonal rhythm to accessing the resources for their craft. The weaving itself, however, can be done at any time and any day except Sunday, which is traditionally observed as a day of rest. So it integrates the craft into their daily and spiritual lives.
So seasonal gathering, but the craft itself can happen year-round. How intricate is the process for something so, well, common as a broom?
It's surprisingly precise. It highlights a deep, almost innate knowledge of materials and their properties. When the stalks of wild reeds, known locally as sagad, mature, they're gathered in bundles. Their meticulously selected immature or inferior ones are discarded to ensure quality. About 70 pieces of these carefully chosen reed stalks are bundled together for the sweeping part, and they're arranged specifically to spread out flat.
Okay.
This flattened bundle is then attached to a thin T-shaped piece of bamboo. The reeds are then interlaced and woven, evenly distributing them so they spread out in a deliberate fan-like manner, which maximizes sweeping efficiency. A flat cord and owewe rattan are used in the weaving process, starting about 90 centimeters below the connection to the main stem, creating a firm, durable structure.
And the handle.
The main stem itself, consisting of layers of reeds about 15 inches long, serves as the comfortable handle and is tied together cylindrically. Finally, a pakaw, which is a woven cord, is attached to the upper tip of the handle to serve as a convenient hook for hanging. This helps preserve it. The precision and knowledge of how different natural materials interact to create a durable, functional tool honed over generations is truly remarkable. It tells you that every detail matters, even in the seemingly mundane.
That attention to detail for something so common is truly impressive. This same deep understanding of natural materials and practical engineering isn't just limited to personal tools. It extends to how entire communities sustain themselves from the environment. Let's pivot to how they harness their rivers for sustenance through clever craft, starting with the Ilocano fish traps.
Right. In northwestern Luzon, places like Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, Abra, La Union, the predominantly Ilocano communities established their settlements along seacoasts, river mouths, mangroves, valleys, riverbanks. This specific geographical context makes fishing an incredibly important, often alternate economic activity. It provides vital sustenance, especially during the summer months when the rivers become a primary source of protein.
So these traps are designed to catch a wide variety of river creatures, not just one type of fish.
Exactly. They ensnare a whole array of fish, or lames as they call them, and other riverine creatures, showcasing a diverse diet drawn from the river. This includes tiny goby fry, Ivatan, larger goby fry, paolang, bukto, the mature goby carp, tilapia, catfish, paltat, a small flat sturdy fin fish called araro, freshwater eels, kiwet for small ones, agate for the big long black ones, and freshwater crustaceans like crabs. It's a really comprehensive approach to river harvesting.
What about the materials and craftsmanship behind these traps? I imagine durability is absolutely key, given they're submerged in water for extended periods.
Absolutely critical. All these fish traps are made wholly from strips of the kawayan, or giant bamboo variety. It grows abundantly and is readily available in Ilocano settlements. Kawayan is an incredibly durable material, capable of withstanding weeks, even months, of submersion in free-flowing fresh waters without degrading much. That's a testament to selecting the right natural resource for the job.
And who makes them?
The menfolk typically make them. They gather the materials and meticulously cut them into the desired strips, thick, sturdy ones for the essential framework, and fine, evenly thick and long ones for the intricate main body. The overall shape and the internal funnels are fashioned according to deep tradition, but also continuously perfected by the fisherfolk themselves.
How so?
Through their keen and constant observation of how river creatures move, along with the subtle flow and dynamic changes of river tides under the rains and in summer seasons. It's this amazing blend of inherited knowledge and empirical hands-on science.
That blend of observation, intuitive engineering, and profound material science, all honed over generations. It's just incredible. Can you describe some of the specific types of fish traps and how they operate?
Certainly. One popular and highly effective trap often set in big rivers is the bubo. It's remarkable for its fine finish and distinct cylindrical body. It's strategically positioned along the current, often placed to ensnare schools of fish fries swimming upstream. Large stones are usually piled on either side to keep it perfectly steady against the river's flow.
And how does it trap the fish?
At the opposite end from the main opening facing the current, there are small, rounded entrances. These lead into a funnel-shaped one-way valve interior. Inside that, they place irresistible balls of powdered grilled rice bran as bait, luring the fish in through the funnel, but making it very difficult for them to find their way out.
Ingenious! A truly sustainable and intelligent design that lets the river do most of the work.
Then there's the barekbek. This is an all-bamboo fish trap typically used in smaller river streams. These are often set in groups, maybe 3s or 5s, with their openings oriented towards the downflow of the river currents. It approximates the shape of the bubo, but is much smaller. It's made of sturdier bamboo strips, about 1 centimeter wide, meticulously woven around a slightly thicker framework.
Does it also use funnels?
Yes, it contains a clever pair of funnels, one near the entrance at the base, and another at the opposite end near the tip. This creates a more complex path for the prey. For bait, they use dried fermented rice balls. Fisher folks say the sour smell is particularly attractive to all types of riverine edible creatures, making it especially good for catching river shrimps and crabs.
And a third type, you mentioned one that sounds even more formidable.
The pamorcan is indeed described as the most formidable Kauaian trap. It's shaped rather like a giant hammock or almost like a half-giant cocoon. It's used differently, too. It's half submerged under brackish water, usually with its bottom side up, and left there for at least a month, becoming almost part of the river ecosystem.
How does that work as a trap?
Underneath the submerged pamorcan, piles of twigs and leafy branches are strategically placed. These serve as a natural shelter for fish, crustaceans, and other riverine life, especially during the hot summer months. They create an artificial habitat that attracts creatures seeking cover, and then, when the time is right, the trap, with its sheltered inhabitants, can be carefully lifted.
Wow, creating an ecosystem to trap things, and these traps last.
Amazingly, yes. These bamboo fish traps, the bubo, pamorcan, and barekbek, are incredibly sturdy and durable, a real testament to their construction and the materials used. They are capable of lasting for a decade or even more, provided they are properly cared for, hung to dry under the shade immediately after use, or maybe kept under the kitchen roof. Simple acts of preservation extend their life remarkably.
The thought that a trap can last for 10 years made purely from natural materials. It's a powerful testament to the sustainable design principles these communities mastered. And speaking of engineering the landscape on a truly monumental scale, we absolutely must talk about the rice terraces of the Cordilleras.
Ah, yes. A true masterpiece of human ingenuity and landscape transformation, often called the eighth wonder of the world. The mountain terraces in the Cordilleras of northern Luzon were famously included in the UNESCO World Heritage Sites list back in 1995, recognizing their immense cultural and historical significance worldwide.
And while they're often associated primarily with the Ifugao people.
Right. It's important to note that other groups in the region, like the Bontoc, the Ibaloi, and the Kalinga, also construct similar, though perhaps distinct, mountain terraces in the vast Cordillera mountain ranges. It signifies a kind of shared regional ingenuity, adapted by different groups.
And even within the Ifugao people, there isn't just one monolithic group, right? There are several subgroups.
Absolutely. The Ifugao people are not just one group. There are several, the two major ones being the Tuali and the Ayang. There's also a third, the Kalanguya, who have a somewhat different language. This points to a diverse shared tradition that has evolved across different but related ethnic groups over a very long time.
The agricultural adaptation here is just staggering. Originally, their staple food wasn't even rice.
Correct. Originally, the staple food of the Ifugao was primarily root crops. Taro, in particular, was one of the oldest and most culturally relevant, even earning a special ritual name, signifying its importance: rice. Well, our sources tell us the earliest evidence for rice in the Philippines dates somewhere between 2510 and 2130 BC. But here's the fundamental challenge. Rice is primarily a lowland crop. It fundamentally needs extensive flooding or ponding to grow well.
Right. And mountains aren't exactly flat and flooded.
Precisely. Rice yield naturally diminishes at higher elevations. So they took this lowland crop, rice, and somehow adapted it to grow on steep mountainsides, creating these colossal staircases of agriculture. That must have taken an incredible amount of time to develop a truly multi-generational effort of trial, error, and refinement.
A tremendous, almost unimaginable amount of time and dedicated labor.
Absolutely. The agricultural technology for rice in Ifugao is essentially lowland technology, but meticulously adapted to the mountain terraces. And these adaptations, as the sources say, must have taken a great deal of time to develop. It's an inherited, multi-generational knowledge system. It combines immense collective effort with an acute, practical understanding of hydrology, soil mechanics, microclimates. It's like a living textbook of sustainable, community-based engineering.
And for those who might just imagine them as simply carved out of mountainsides, the actual construction is much more nuanced and actually quite fragile, isn't it? It's not just digging into rock.
Indeed. That's a common misconception. The terraces are not actually carved out of mountainsides in one go. Instead, they are meticulously constructed from stone or earth walls, slowly and painstakingly built up layer by layer, generation after generation. The space between the constructed wall and the natural mountainside is then carefully filled with different layers: rubble for drainage, various grades of soil, water, and crucially, an impervious layer of clay beneath the top layers of organic soil.
Clay. Why clay?
That clay acts as a natural sealant. It prevents the precious water, essential for rice cultivation, from simply seeping away down the mountainside from the paddy fields. This intricate layering highlights an astonishing engineering genius, all done with local materials. However, this method also makes the terraces quite fragile and very susceptible to erosion if they're not meticulously maintained, constantly repaired.
So, no heavy machinery possible.
No, definitely not. No draft animal, like a carabao, can be used to plow these terraced fields because of their narrowness and the delicate nature of the walls. Instead, the soil is cultivated entirely by hand, using traditional wooden spades. It's a powerful testament to the immense labor, the sustained community effort, and the continuous multi-generational knowledge involved in simply maintaining these structures year after year. The rice is typically planted at the beginning of the year and harvested around June, marking the annual cycle of this monumental human endeavor.
The sheer scale of this human-made landscape and the incredible continuous effort it represents, it's truly awe-inspiring. A living testament to patience, community, and deep ecological knowledge. Okay, let's transition now from these vast agricultural masterpieces to cultural expression through art and adornment, starting with the vibrant Morion masks of Marinduque Island.
Ah, the Morion's festival. The Morion mask is absolutely central to this famous street play held during Holy Week on Marinduque. The term Morion itself literally means mask, and it refers specifically to the participants who wear these elaborate Roman legionnaire costumes, complete with carved wooden helmets featuring a distinct frowning, often fierce-looking face.
And our sources provide a fascinating origin story for this whole ritual. It apparently dates back to around 1884, inspired by a unique practice performed by a church sacristan in Mogpog town named Matandang Bentong.
That's the story, yes. Matandang Bentong would reportedly ring the church bells at 10 a.m. on Good Fridays, then put on a mask, walk the streets of Mogpog, maybe in silent penance or contemplation, and then return to ring the bells again at high noon. It's said that the very first parish priest of Mogpog, recognizing the visual power of this individual ritual, got the idea to expand it into a communal Holy Week observance. He eventually convinced 7 prominent citizens to join in, laying the foundation for the Morion festival as we know it today.
So what does a traditional Morion mask typically look like, especially in terms of its features and expression?
It's traditionally designed to strikingly resemble Caucasian features, specifically those associated with the Roman legionnaire, given the context of the Holy Week narrative being reenacted. It's usually crafted to convey the fierce aspect of a soldier characterized by sharp, wide-open eyes, a beard and mustache, and a prominent nose. It gives it a very commanding, sometimes intimidating presence. The masks are painted in various bold colors, red, white, black, brown, adding to their dramatic effect in the street play.
And the headgear styles are quite distinct too, aren't they? Often carrying additional symbolism.
They are. In Mogpog town, the origin place, a unique headgear called the bulaklakan turbante is traditionally worn. It's adorned with flowers, or bulaklak, meticulously crafted out of different colors of Japanese paper. Traditionally, the number of flowers on the turbante carried a very specific meaning. It signified the number of years a person had vowed to participate in the Morions.
Ah, like a promise.
Exactly. As they completed the ritual each year, they would remove one flower until none was left, signaling the fulfillment of their vow or commitment. This remains a distinct Mod Pod design, though apparently it's rarely seen now, making it almost a historical artifact within this living tradition.
So it's a visual commitment, a kind of countdown to completion, and other styles of headgear.
Another popular style, used more widely by nearby towns where the Morion was introduced and adapted later, is the crested or plumed helmet. This often incorporates local materials like dog hair, chicken feathers, straw, abaca strings, or even broom strands, showcasing local resourcefulness and artistic flair in interpreting the Roman helmet theme.
It's truly interesting how ritual and craft evolve, maybe integrating new meanings or technologies while trying to preserve core traditions, like the size of the masks changing.
Yes, that's a fascinating point from the sources. Photographs, apparently from the 1970s, show that the masks were much bigger then, impressively reaching down to the wearer's shoulder. It's only in more recent years that they've become the actual size of a man's face. The speculation is that maybe the technology or skill to make the mask fit more precisely, allowing for better visibility or comfort during the long hours of the street play, became more available recently. This demonstrates a kind of practical adaptation within a sacred performance context.
That's a fascinating insight into how even something as ritualistic as a mask can adapt with technological advancements or practical needs without losing its core essence. Okay, from masks, let's explore another incredible art form, metal casting, particularly the ornate expressions of power and utility found down in Mindanao.
Metal casting in the southern Philippines, especially among the Maranao and Maguindanao peoples, is characterized by a very distinct class of metal objects. Their really distinguishing characteristic is the exquisite presence of wire-formed ornamentation.
Wire formed, like actual wires.
Well, ornamentation that looks like fine wire. It comes in intricate loose spirals, circles, curlicues, and running and interlocked scrolls. These patterns are often described as deeply organic, resembling delicate vines and growing ferns, a clear connection to the natural world rendered in metal.
The intricacy sounds absolutely stunning, almost like metal lace. What are the most common objects made with this technique?
A great deal of these objects are bronze or brassotoans or beetle nut boxes, which are really integral to social customs and hospitality in the region. They come in various shapes: quadrangular, octagonal, cylindrical, or even lunette-shaped, each one a small portable work of art.
Uh-huh.
Occasionally, this distinctive decorative technique is also applied to enhance the appearance of kulintang gongs. There you might see triangular forms ornamented with these wire-like curlicues radiating from the center, adding visual depth and prestige to these important musical instruments.
And the process for creating such delicate, almost lace-like designs, it must be quite specialized, right? It sounds incredibly difficult to achieve that kind of fine detail in metal.
It is indeed. The process involves the ancient and complex loss wax or waste mold technique. First, tablets of wax, representing the specific sides or surfaces that will be decorated, are meticulously prepared. Sections are then excised or carved out deeply enough to precisely accommodate the thickness of the ornamentation that will be added. Then, wire-like lengths of wax are painstakingly applied within these excised areas, forming the intricate whorls and curls of the ornamentation. The most common effect achieved is this stunning lace-like, open lattice work that is distinctly floral or plant-like in feel. The complexity of the lost wax method, particularly for creating such delicate and intricate designs, truly underscores the extraordinary skill, patience, and artistry involved. You're essentially transforming a fleeting wax model into enduring metal beauty.
Incredible. It's like sculpting with thread, but in metal. From these ornate metalworks, let's move to a symbol that seems to embody Maranao culture itself, the Saramanok. It feels like a very familiar motif in Philippine culture, even if people don't know the name.
The Saramanok is a powerful testament to the idea that the symbols of a people are another form of language, speaking volumes about their state of being, their worldview. The culture of the Maranao is truly rich and profuse with these decorative forms called okir, those distinctive curvilinear flowing patterns we mentioned. You see okir on artifacts, buildings, virtually every conceivable surface in their material culture. The Saramanok fundamentally embodies okir. It's perhaps the most iconic representation of it.
It's so familiar to many in Philippine culture that, as our sources say, it's often just taken for granted. But let's break down what it actually is beyond just recognizing its image.
Right. It's an artifact, usually constructed from wood, meticulously carved in the form of a bird. As its name implies in the vernacular, it's literally an artificial bird. It's typically assembled from several demountable parts, which allows for intricate detail and perhaps even symbolic representation through its very construction.
Demountable parts.
Yes. The head, which slopes into the beak, is usually integrated with the neck and an ovaloid body. The widespread wings are inserted into carefully crafted sockets on the sides. The elaborate tail feathers are also inserted into holes at the rear of the body. And the legs are likewise accommodated in sockets at the bottom, allowing it to stand gracefully.
And what's its absolutely distinguishing feature? What makes it unmistakably a Saramanok and not just any bird carving?
What truly distinguishes the Saramanok from all other bird constructions and makes it so unique is the consistent presence of a fish. The fish is usually shown dangling from the tip of its beak, or sometimes clutched in its talons, or occasionally both. This element is absolutely crucial to its iconography and meaning.
Interesting. Any idea why the fish?
There are various myths and interpretations, often linking it to abundance, good fortune, or connections to the spirit world, but the fish is key. And the entire object is painted all over with primary colors, bright reds, yellows, blues, greens, and their full chromatic strength, making it a vibrant, striking symbol that demands attention and conveys joy and dynamism.
It's this incredible blend of the mythical and the artistic that makes it so compelling, embodying so much cultural narrative. And it's not just a decorative piece on its own, is it? It has a specific ceremonial function.
That's right. Although the Ceremonic is not a flag itself, it's described as being really a part of a system of Maranao flags that are prominently displayed during important occasions, like weddings or coronations. It functions as a powerful visual narrative, conveying cultural stories, expressing abundance, and signifying status and connection to heritage. It's a constant, vibrant reminder of the Maranao people's rich heritage, their values, and their unique place in the world. It tells a story without uttering a single word.
From the majesty of the Ceremonic, let's now truly dive into the profound world of textiles, where every thread tells stories of history, identity, and artistic mastery. This is a deep-rooted tradition, isn't it? Perhaps one of the oldest forms of craft we've discussed.
Absolutely. Textiles being one of the basic necessities for human survival, for clothing, shelter, comfort, imply an incredibly early history, likely dating back to prehistoric times. However, because textiles are inherently perishable, much direct material evidence from very ancient times is unfortunately scarce.
So how do we know about early weaving?
What we do find are related archaeological materials that offer tantalizing clues. Things like spindle whorls made of stone or clay used for spinning thread, other early weaving implements, and even faint textile impressions that were accidentally preserved on the surface of ancient pottery pieces. These all hint at the vast breadth and sophistication of this ancient craft, even if the cloth itself is gone.
And our sources mention the oldest existing textile sample found in the Philippines, which sounds like an incredible discovery.
Indeed, it's a remarkably preserved piece. The oldest existing textile sample found in the Philippines is a linen cloth discovered in a wooden coffin on Banten Island near southern Luzon. It was found alongside ceramic pieces that have been dated to the 14th and 15th centuries.
Wow. And what's special about it?
What's truly remarkable about this cloth, even given its age, is that it already exhibits a high level of sophistication in its designs. You can see recognizable bird forms, reverse S shapes, and intricate geometric patterns arranged in bands of faded black and red hues. It's also recognized as the earliest existing specimen of warp tie-dye textile in all of Southeast Asia.
Warp tie-dye, so like ikat.
Exactly, a form of ikat. This is a profound testament to the advanced techniques and artistic sensibilities employed centuries and centuries ago. It's not just old, it's a masterpiece of early textile art.
So textiles aren't just about covering the body, they actually enhance people's interaction with their natural surroundings and their complex social milieu. How do they do that?
Precisely. The very choice of implements used for weaving, the specific materials like the type of yarn spun, and the natural dye stuffs extracted from local plants or minerals. These are definitive of the properties of the natural surroundings where the people live. They're indicative of the immense resourcefulness and the deeply ingrained aesthetic sense of the people, showing how they literally transform their environment into art. Okay, beyond that, the very use and distribution of a piece of textile, who wears what, when, how it's traded, and the intricate system by which it's produced, from gathering raw materials to weaving and finishing. These are concrete articulations of the social structures of power, or maybe cooperative relations, among people. In their totality, textiles define the cultural identity of a people, both as a tight-knit community and perhaps as a broader nation. They are truly a visual language, conveying so much about who people are, their values, their history, their place in the world.
It's a visual language, conveying so much. And this art form reached a level of mastery even before European colonization, influenced by all those diverse maritime relations.
Yes. Through millennia of maritime interactions with neighboring cultures, from Southern Malay and Indian influences to Chinese, Japanese, Indo-Chinese, Thai connections, and long prior to European colonization, Philippine textile art production reached an astonishing level of mastery. They primarily employed two main kinds of weaving implements, the folded type or backstrap loom. This was incredibly portable, easily carried and set up anywhere, making it ideal for nomadic or semi-nomadic communities or just weaving outdoors. And then there was the upright pedal loom. This was almost a fixed setup, much larger, couldn't be single-handedly carried, suggesting more settled communities with dedicated weaving spaces or workshops.
And even today, there are active weaving centers all over the country keeping these traditions alive.
Yeah.
Can you paint a picture of where these vibrant traditions are still thriving and how they maintain their unique identities through weaving?
It's a rich and vibrant tapestry, quite literally, woven across the entire archipelago. In Luzon, you find active centers up in the northern Cordilleras, places like Benaué in Ifugao, Samoki, Bontoc, Sagada, Bissau, and Paracelis in Mountain Province, Lubogan and Dacalan in Kalinga, and Baguio City in Benguet. Each of these areas has distinctive patterns reflecting mountain life and beliefs. Then further south, in Ilocos region, you have Pauay, Sarat, Pirig, and Pinili in Ilocos Norte, Vigan, Quayan, Santa, Santiago, and Tagudin in Ilocos Sur, and Bengar in La Union. These places are renowned for their sturdy, often geometrically patterned Ilocano weaves. And we can't forget the island of Caranduanes of southern Luzon and the Hanunumanian areas in Mindoro, each contributing their unique threads to this national heritage.
That's just Luzon. What about the Visayas and Mindanao? The diversity must be incredible.
It really is. In western Visayas, you find strong traditions in Aklan and Iloilo on Penay Island, particularly known for their delicate piña fiber weaves made from pineapple leaves. And in Mindanao, the weaving centers are prolific and incredibly diverse. Caraga and Davao Oriental, Davao City itself, Bansalan and Davao del Sur, the Manobo and Blan areas near the foot of Mount Apo, the villages along Lake Cebu in South Cotabato, home to the famous Taboli Dreamweavers, the Iranan villages in Maguindanao, Marawi and Lanao del Sur, Zamboanga del Sur, and Basilan and Jolo in the Sulu Islands, home to Yakan and Tausug weavers. Each region, sometimes each specific community, concentrates on a particular design technique, material, and set of motifs, further providing a definitive and proud identity through their textiles. It's like a living museum spread across thousands of islands.
It's clear that these textiles are not just functional, they really seem to be a celebration of life itself. What are some of the common thematic expressions we consistently see woven into them?
Philippine culture, as expressed in these textiles, often feels inherently celebratory in disposition and outlook. They joyously highlight themes of abundance, fertility, and wealth through rich depictions of flora and fauna, mountains and rivers, and multiple repetitive ornamentations like curvilinear forms, X-shapes, diamond patterns, symbols, often associated with continuity and prosperity.
Can you give specific examples?
Sure. Ilocos draperies and bed covers often feature charming fruit-bearing plants, sometimes with a pair of birds perched at their pinnacles, created using an inlaid supplementary weft technique, literally weaving good fortune and abundance into the cloth. The iconic tree of life motif, particularly prominent in Mindanao Muslim textiles, is made incredibly ornate with okir or stylized naga mythical serpent compositions representing cosmic order, lineage, and spiritual connection. Northern Luzon and western Visayan textiles also often feature fruit-bearing plants as eloquent expressions of lush abundance, wealth, and grandeur.
And patterns from eastern and central Mindanao.
There, you often see palm leaves and fern patterns prominently featured in their tie-dye design compositions, directly reflecting the lush tropical environment they inhabit. In the Visayas, those delicate piña, the pineapple leaf cybercloths, showcase finely formed flowers and leaf patterns, also often created through inlaid supplementary weft, creating an ethereal, almost transparent beauty. These textiles, across the board, seem to universally express the people's deep reverence and high value for nature's resources, seeing them as blessings, as sources of life.
And they include human figures, too.
Yes. The human figure is also given space in the textile design repertoire, often alongside mountains, rivers, plants, eagle wings, mythical creatures. The inclusion of human figures specifically seems to express the ideal of harmonious relations between humans and their natural surroundings, which critically, for many groups, encompasses the spirit world. It shows a deep respect for all forms of life, seen and unseen.
It's incredible how these motifs convey such universal symbolism while remaining deeply specific to their individual cultures. Let's get even more specific about the weaving process itself by talking about backstrap weaving. It truly sounds like an intricate dance of threads.
It is indeed. The backstrap loom is a truly ancient apparatus. It was used by people in the interiors of the Philippines, much like other ancient peoples during the late Neolithic age, across many parts of the world. What's remarkable is its continuity. Even today, the backstrap loom is still very much in use, notably in Mindanao and the Cordilleras of northern Luzon, preserving a craft tradition that spans millennia.
And it's crucial for ethnic identity, isn't it? It's not just a tool, it's really a cultural marker.
Absolutely. It's used to produce incredibly colorful and intricately designed textiles that clearly identify the ethnicity of different peoples, making each piece a wearable identity statement. Some of the many groups that traditionally use, or still use, this loom include the Ifugao, Bontoc, Itneg, Ilianon, Yakan, Mandaya, Mansaka, Maranao, Taboli, Bagobo, Manobo, and Blon. Each of them imbues their weaves with unique patterns, color palettes, and meanings specific to their culture.
Can you describe the loom's configuration and how it actually works? It sounds like a complex yet ingenious dance of components, especially since the weaver is literally part of the loom's tension system.
It is, but it's elegantly simple in its core principle. Principally, it comprises strands of longitudinal threads called the warp. These are stretched between rods at the outermost end of the loom, the warp end rods, often tied to a post or tree, and the cloth end rods, which are nearest the weaver.
And the weaver holds that end.
Yes. The weaver typically straps the cloth end rod to their back, using their own body weight and posture to keep the warp threads taut. That tension is critical. From the top, a lease cord meticulously maintains the order of the threads, and often provides an opening between the threads for inserting the shed stick. The shed roll, often just a piece of bamboo, then divides the warp threads in half, creating the basic opening or shed for the weft to pass through.
Okay, so that creates the basic weave. How do they get the complex patterns?
That's where the heddle sticks come in. Below the shed roll are the heddle sticks. These have loops, often spirally wrapped threads, that hold specific sets of warp threads. By lifting different combinations of heddle sticks, the weaver can create different sheds, different openings in the warp, providing the crucial facility for introducing complex design patterns into the cloth with remarkable efficiency. Finally, the horizontal threads, the weft, are introduced, usually on a bobbin or shuttle, pushed between the selected warp threads and then forced down firmly by a beater or weaving sword, compacting the weave row by row.
So, essentially, it's a remarkably sophisticated yet incredibly portable system where the weaver's own body becomes an integral part of creating the fabric. A true dance between human and loom.
Precisely.
What's fascinating is that while the backstrap loom is essentially the same basic setup throughout the country, there are subtle differences. Our sources mention that the late historian William Henry Scott apparently often wondered why a particular heddle stick seemed to be missing from backstrap looms in the north while it was present in the south. That's a very specific observation.
It's a subtle but potentially significant detail that invites contemplation. Scott was a meticulous observer. Such a difference, even seemingly minor like the number or arrangement of heddle sticks, might imply variations in the complexity of patterns each region traditionally produced, or perhaps the specific types of fibers they were working with, or even distinct regional knowledge systems and adaptations to specific environmental or cultural needs. It's a powerful testament to the localized evolution of a craft that is otherwise universally practiced across the archipelago. It shows how deep traditions can have distinct, nuanced regional dialects in their execution.
Now let's look at a specific and incredibly versatile textile that comes from these looms. The Malong, the traditional Maranao tube skirt, which comes in several distinct varieties.
Yes, the Maranao people have 3 generalized types of these tube skirts, or Malong. Each is recognized by its weaving style and distinct color use, and sometimes they're given specific and incredibly endearing names. The main varieties are the Landap, the Andon, and then various plaids, which can be striped and checkered. Each serves different purposes and conveys unique aesthetics within Maranao culture.
Let's start with the Landap Malong. What makes it, as the source says, beautiful to look at? What defines it?
The Landap Malong is indeed described that way, largely due to its striking composition. It's distinguished by wide vertical strips of cloth in vibrant, rich, solid colors: red, muriga, yellow bananing, violet bermuda, blue, biero, a specific abaca leaf green, ombozawaka, and a general green, gadong. These wide strips are then further decorated with narrow strips of lanket. Remember those decorative tapestry-woven panels we discussed?
Right, the intricate strip.
These lankets are meticulously sewn vertically onto the solid panels, adding intricate detail and contrast. And to top it off, 3 additional horizontal lanket strips, 1 in the middle and 2 at both ends, cross the wider lac band, which is the main vertical lanket panel where the tube is joined.
Okay, so it's quite complexly assembled, and there are named substyles.
Yes, based on the dominant color. There's Landap a Bananing, which is yellow and traditionally preferred by aristocratic women. There's Landap a Gadong, green, Landap a Mariga, red, Landap a Maiden, black, Landap a Rambayam, violet, Landap a Kasomba, safflower orange. Each color potentially carries specific social roles, preferences, or meanings, literally weaving social hierarchy and identity into the fabric.
So specific colors for specific social roles and preferences. What about the end-on Malong? How is that different?
The Malong is quite distinct. It's woven using the intricate tie-dye method ikat and is generally worn by women. It possesses an identifying weaving and dyeing pattern that is distinctly Maranao, making it instantly recognizable, though the colors can vary according to the specific geometric design patterns used.
And these patterns have names too.
Yes, they are so unique that they are individually named. Examples include ampik, along with specific geometric designs, Barabbas, geometric designs usually in primary colors, blue, orange, yellow, Batador, nilalong, a checkered design, and Costa, contrasting lines and cross lines of primary colors with minimal use of another color. It's described as a profoundly feminine type of wear and is considered perhaps the most complex and artistic of the Malong varieties due to the difficulty of the tie-dye process.
And the substyles have evocative names.
They do. Fascinating names like Metaragandang, which means something like darling or maiden, and Pakabinban, meaning seductive or attractive. This truly highlights how these intricate tie-dye processes can convey not just aesthetic beauty, but also nuanced societal roles, cultural narratives, and even desired personal attributes.
The names alone are works of art, imbued with such rich meaning, and integral to these Malong, both Landap and perhaps others, are the Langkit. You mentioned them earlier as decorative tapestry woven panels. They're used to join the pieces.
Yes, exactly. The Langkit are these narrow strips of tapestry woven cloth that are crucially used to join the main pieces of the Malong cloth together, transforming them into a single, wider piece suitable for the tubular skirt. Another tapestry woven strip then joins the ends to form the tubular garment itself, creating a seamless and beautiful circle. These decorative joining panels are specifically called Langkit.
So they're like the decorative joints, almost like the jewels of the Malong, adding both structural integrity and immense visual splendor.
That's a perfect way to put it. There are two kinds identified. The toberan, which is the narrow kind that joins the main vertical panels of cloth together, and the lakben, which is a wider one that joins the two ends of the cloth to form the actual tubular garment. Both are highly ornamental and explosively colorful, especially when they're set off against the solid colors of the plain woven panels in a Landap Malong, creating a really striking contrast.
What kind of designs do they have?
Their intricate designs are rendered in a vibrant palette: orange, blue, yellow, green, magenta, purple. And interestingly, the designs are sometimes shaped in what is described as a curvilinear male design and a female geometric design, subtly implying a contrast or complementarity between masculine and feminine motifs woven right into the fabric of the textile.
And the weaving technique itself for these Langkit panels, it must be very specialized to achieve such fine detail in such a narrow strip.
It is. A narrow, specialized kind of tapestry loom is used specifically just to weave the Langkit. Crucially, a technique called discontinuous weft is employed.
Discontinuous weft, what does that mean?
It means that the individual weft threads, the horizontal threads, don't run continuously across the entire width of the narrow fabric strip. Instead, threads of various colors are meticulously inserted only where their specific color is needed to build up the pattern, almost like pixel by pixel, but with thread. This technique is incredibly painstaking and a profound testament to the weaver's extraordinary skill and precision. Our sources mention two general types of design motifs found in Langkit. A first type that seems more geometric, perhaps hooked into the warp threads, creating a jagged configuration with sharp defined patterns, and a second type done in a more curvilinear style, without that jagged configuration. Here the lines are smooth and flowing, and the designs are distinctly floral, embodying natural forms. Sometimes larger motifs are outlined in lighter colors and then filled in with darker ones, or some motifs are solidly colored for bold impact. It's really the brilliantly colored Langkit that makes the Landap Malong in particular so distinctive and visually unforgettable.
It's incredible detail for something that's essentially a seam, turning a functional element into a dazzling work of art. Okay, let's move to another remarkable woven cloth, the Pis Syabit of the Tausug people from the Sulu archipelago.
The Pis Syabit is the distinctive multicolor woven cloth of the Tausug people. Traditionally, it's worn by Tausug men as a headdress, called a pis, or sometimes as a clothing accessory, usually neatly folded and elegantly draped over the left shoulder. It carries significant social weight. How it's wrapped, the specific colors used, and the richness of the design directly symbolize the wearer's elevated position in Tausug society. It's a clear marker of identity and status.
But it's also adapted to contemporary fashion, isn't it? Showing, again, how traditional items can evolve and stay relevant.
Yes, that's a beautiful aspect of living traditions adapting. Nowadays, it's quite common to see even women, especially maybe young students, wearing the piece either in its traditional function as headwear or cleverly integrated as an accessory in contemporary fashion, maybe as a shawl, a neckerchief, or even used just as a decorative item in homes. This showcases its incredible versatility, its enduring aesthetic appeal, and the way cultural symbols can transcend their original purpose to embrace new contexts and meanings.
What's the weaving technique behind this intricate cloth, which allows for such sophisticated, often geometric, patterns?
The Pis Syabit is precisely a tapestry weave, a highly skilled and ancient technique. The term Syabit itself, in the Tausug language, means to hook. This directly references the meticulous production process of inserting or hooking in discontinuous weft threads of various colors, including white quite often, across a generally dark yet finely striped body of warp threads.
So similar to the Langkit technique.
Very similar in principle, yes, using discontinuous weft to build complex patterns. The Pis Syabit exhibits much sophistication in its design, often featuring intricate geometric patterns, yet it uses tapestry weave, which is considered the oldest and most traditional technique in producing ornamented woven textiles, aside from just plain weaving used for stripes and plaids. It's a foundational skill taken to an absolute artistic pinnacle by the Tausug weavers.
It's fascinating how a single cloth can carry such diverse social and ceremonial weight, from a symbol of high status to a modern fashion accessory. Are there similar cloths or examples of how such textiles are used to mark specific occasions or identities in other groups?
Absolutely. A related example that vividly illustrates this is the Yakan Sapatangan. This is another intricately woven cloth made by the Yakan people of Basilan Island, also in the south. It's worn in distinct ways depending on the specific occasion, signifying purpose and context without a single word needing to be spoken.
For example,
For instance, the Ellen style of wearing it is for everyday use. The Haptowan is specifically for going to the market, and the Jinunasipakawin is worn like a veil when attending a wedding, marking it as a sacred or special occasion. This really illustrates how textiles are not just passive objects, but active participants in social life, signifying context, purpose, and cultural belonging through the way they are worn.
and finally, in our textile journey, let's talk about the tipo mat, the unique double-layered mats of tawi-tawi, which sound both beautiful and incredibly functional.
The Sama people, particularly those in Tandubas in the Tawi-Tawi Island group, way down south, are renowned for weaving a distinctive mat made of pandana sleeves called tipo. Its truly unique feature, setting it apart from other mats, is that it's a two-layered, abstractly designed mat. It's a signature craft, really exclusive to the people of Tawi-Tawi.
What are its traditional uses? Is it just for sleeping on?
While traditionally it certainly serves as a comfortable sleeping mat, its significance extends much further within Sama culture. It's also considered a precious gift for newlyweds, symbolizing comfort, home, and a new beginning together. And it's even used by imams, religious leaders, during the recitation of prayers, elevating it to a sacred object in certain contexts. These mats are primarily produced by women, carrying on a generational art form passed down through families.
And the process of making them sounds quite labor-intensive, starting way before the weaving even begins with the pandan leaves themselves. It's not just gather and weave, is it?
No, it's a truly meticulous and multi-step process, transforming a raw plant material into a refined cultural artifact. After gathering the pandan leaves, the sharp thorns, called ngalayan heating, are painstakingly removed. Then the leaves are carefully cut lengthwise into precise strips. The raw materials are then brought to a communal paguzan, that's a kind of presser device used to make the leaves soft and dry, ensuring they're pliable for weaving.
Okay.
The strips, now called dalamba, are then hung in a shaded portion outside the house for initial drying. After about a day, the strips are taken down and pressed again, further softening them. Following this, they are folded, or majangat, and left for 3 days. Then comes sun drying, or palau, which continues until the strips are fully bleached by the sun and ready to take dye or be used in their natural color. After about a week of this comprehensive preparation, the strips are finally ready for weaving, which typically starts at one corner of the mat. This incredibly labor-intensive preparation is a testament to the dedication required before a single strip is woven.
That's a lot of preparation for one mat. It really underscores the value embedded in each finished piece. And what about the motifs and designs woven into these tepo mats? Are they random?
No, not at all. Specific named patterns are intricately woven into these mats, each with its own visual characteristic and cultural resonance. Examples include balantung, a dynamic mixture of zigzag and diamond shapes, pinaleko, a distinct zigzag design, palong born, a striking large square made of different colors, jolly, purely striped, kustasima, a combination of stripes and diamonds, kusta, another variation of a checkered pattern, and malasa, featuring small hexagons. These designs are not random. They are part of a rich visual language passed down through generations of weavers.
And the truly distinguishing feature of the Samatepo is its two layers, which you mentioned earlier. How does that work exactly, and what purpose does it serve?
Precisely. The intricately woven patterned mat isn't actually considered finished at its initial stage. It is then meticulously mounted onto a slightly larger but plainly woven mat called a lapis. This plain mat serves as a robust backing for the more delicate, ornately woven top piece. This hidden second layer is the true distinguishing feature of the Samatepo, a testament to thoughtful design that goes beyond just the visible surface appearance.
So it's not just aesthetic.
No, it also serves a very practical purpose. When the mat is carried, perhaps to market or when traveling, it's neatly folded with the plain backing on the outside. This effectively protects the exquisitely designed surface from dirt, wear, and tear. This simple yet brilliant design choice speaks volumes about a culture that clearly values both beauty and practicality, ensuring their creations endure. Sama workmanship, in general, is considered among the very best mat weaving in the country, a reputation earned through this kind of detailed excellence and thoughtful design.
From the remarkable ingenuity woven into everyday life and profound artistry, let's conclude this deep dive by honoring the living guardians of these traditions, the Manlilikha ng Bayan, or National Living Treasures. These are individuals who truly embody the very essence of cultural preservation and continuity.
These individuals are truly extraordinary figures. They are indigenous exponents of traditions, masters of craft and performance, who are meticulously singled out through a nationwide continuing search process. Once identified and recognized for their exceptional skill and dedication, they are then declared national icons to emulate as guardians who safeguard national cultural heritage. The title Manlilikha ng Bayan itself translates profoundly to one who creates for the country, recognizing that their artistry isn't just personal, it's a gift to the entire nation, a living link to its deepest roots.
Let's spotlight just a few of these incredible artists and their unique contributions, acknowledging we can't cover all of them in the depth they deserve. But let's highlight a few that truly exemplify this spirit. Starting with Haja Amina Api, proclaimed in 2004 for her mastery of mat weaving among the Sama people of Tawi-Tawi.
Haja Amina Api hailed from a people already famous for transforming humble pandanus mats into exquisite works of art, was a true master weaver. Our sources describe her face as exuding serenity, yet her hands were thick and deeply dye-stained from a lifetime of harvesting pandanus leaves and meticulously drawing out intricate, dreamlike designs from memory onto the mats as she wove.
What did she consider the hardest part?
For her, the most difficult part of her craft was apparently culling from ethnic memory, the visualization and execution of design. It was about translating generations of accumulated patterns, stories, and cultural aesthetics into each new weave. Her work was characterized by incredibly high precision, an unparalleled mastery of the medium, and an instinctive sense of proportion and symmetry, and even deliberate asymmetry that elevated her mats far beyond simple craft, into the realm of fine art. She was deeply respected and recognized even within her own community, known not only for her extraordinary skill but also for the reported gentleness in her teaching of others, ensuring the tradition lived on beyond her.
And Lang Dulay, a textile weaver from the Taboli people of Lake Cebu, proclaimed in 1998 famous for her tinalak cloth.
Lang Dulay was an iconic figure, truly legendary. She wove a baka fiber, derived from the Musa textilis plant, into the distinctive tinalak, that sacred ikat cloth characteristic of only a few southern Mindanao ethnic groups. She was an absolute master of the tie-dye design technique, creating stunning, complex mirror image panel patterns that are incredibly difficult to achieve. Her creations remained absolutely faithful to Taboli tradition, manifested in the breathtaking complexity of her designs, often said to come to her in dreams, reflecting the deep workings of ethnic memory and cosmology, along with the impeccable quality of her workmanship and the excellence of her finish. The intricate demands of the tie-dye technique, especially for the highly detailed designs she produced, required immense skill, patience, and a profound connection to her ancestral knowledge. She wasn't just weaving fabric, she was literally weaving Taboli cosmology and identity.
And then there's Eduardo Mutic, a Kapampangan metalsmith from Apalit, Pampanga, proclaimed in 2004. His craft sounds incredibly specialized, focused on religious art.
Eduardo Mutic is truly a consummate craftsman who quietly worked in a field limited to very few master artisans these days. Ornate metal crafting, mainly dedicated to church needs, with only minimal filtering down to domestic uses. He famously used self-made tools, even reportedly crafting a damper from a discarded rubber slipper, showcasing his profound ingenuity and self-reliance.
How did he create the designs?
He would meticulously hammer from the back of sheets of silver and other metals to produce elaborate ornamental designs in repoussé. That's the technique where the design is pushed or hammered out from the reverse side of the metal, creating a raised, sculpted, and highly decorative effect. He primarily used this to beautify church altars, santo carriages, processional floats, and other religious carrying implements. His dedication to this intricate craft, often for sacred purposes, underscores his profound skill and artistic commitment, turning cold metal into something that feels truly divine through sheer artistry.
And finally, let's touch on Teofilo Garcia, the Ilocano Tabunga cask maker from San Quinabra, proclaimed in 2012. He literally turns gourds into wearable art.
Teofilo Garcia is a remarkable individual, described as an ingrained farmer. First and foremost, he cultivates corn, vegetables, rice, tobacco, husbands cattle, even practices silviculture, a true steward of the land. But in his freer months, when farming allows, he engages in a truly unique craft. He plants a pawn, which are bottle gourds, and meticulously transforms these organic materials into elegant casks, those traditional conical helmets crafted from dried gourd halves. This is a craft that apparently sprung from an ancient legacy in his region.
And it's not just shaping the gourd.
No, weaving its decorative rim and the inner head lining using fine rattan strips requires consummate skill, balancing the natural form of the gourd with intricate, precise handwork. He has not only personally preserved this dying traditional craft, but has also proactively established a specialized training program in his community, teaching others how to raise the right kind of a pawn and how to make the casks. He's directly safeguarding invaluable knowledge and inspiring future generations to carry on this unique heritage. He truly embodies the spirit of a living tradition, actively ensuring its survival by passing it on.
What incredible individuals, each one a testament to dedication, immense artistry, and an unwavering commitment to their cultural roots and communities. We've journeyed through this truly incredible world of Philippine crafts, from ancient pottery that shaped early societies and the ingenious seafaring vessels that connected communities across vast waters, to resilient houses built for challenging environments, and the powerful symbolism embedded in garments like the Malong and the Pis Syabit. We've seen the intricate artistry of textiles, where every thread tells a story, and understood that all of these profound traditions are maintained and propelled forward by dedicated artisans, the true living treasures who carry this knowledge in their hands and hearts.
And these crafts, as we've seen, are not just beautiful objects that exist in isolation. They're living testaments to cultural identity, to the incredible ingenuity and resilience of the Filipino people, and their continuous adaptive connection to their world, their environment, their history. Each piece tells a deeply resonant story of community, adaptation, and an enduring, almost spiritual link to nature and tradition. They represent a legacy that transcends time.
So, having explored these incredible crafts, perhaps consider this. How might our modern world, with its rapid changes, its global markets, its ubiquitous digital connections, how might it inadvertently contribute to the challenges facing these very traditions we admire? What responsibility do we, perhaps, as informed global citizens, have in ensuring these profound cultural legacies continue to thrive, not just as relics of the past, but as vibrant, living, and evolving art forms for the future? How do we become part of their ongoing story, rather than just observers?
It's a question worth pondering. We certainly encourage you to seek out more information about these remarkable crafts, perhaps even support the artisans directly if you ever have the opportunity, or maybe just, pay closer attention to the stories behind the objects around you, wherever you are in the world. There's a deep dive of discovery waiting for all of us simply by looking closer at the art, the ingenuity, and the human spirit embedded in the things we use and see every day.